Welcome back to JK Sports 7. I'm Joel. I got Kevin here as well. We're at that point in the NFL season where we're a little bit past free agency, a little before the draft. Mock drafts are great. We'll do those every Monday, mock draft Monday. We got one coming out this Monday talking about I'm taking ownership of the NFC teams. So we'll get to that. But we want to take some time today and talk about what's coming up next week. That's the NFL owners meeting. There's some cool rule changes here, some changes to things that will affect we see effects on Sunday with. So we wanted to kind of walk through those, kind of give my opinion, get Kevin's opinion about what we expect to see, if we think it will pass, it won't pass, and then go through those. There's about 7 of them we'll go over today, so it'll be a quick video. Just wanted to talk about all those with you. So the first one, probably the biggest one, I think we'll talk about today will be the change to the dynamic kickoff. So last year they brought the dynamic kickoff. You have the kicker way back, original kickoff. You have the line of scrimmage here. No one can move until its ball's touched. And then if it is a touchback, the ball moves to the 30-yard line. I think that was an interesting change. It did bring some flair to the kickoff, and the league wants to see more of that. So what they're going to do is touchbacks would move from the 30 to the 35. So a 5-yard difference, but for teams, that's a big change
Right.
in field position. That 5 yards is a big change. Last year, we really didn't see most teams are still kicking the ball in the end zone and feeling the consequences. So Kevin, give me a brief thought, like how do you think the dynamic kickoff went off last year? How do you think this change will affect the kickoff? And then are you for or against it? Give us your thoughts.
So my big thing was, and I guess the easiest way to say it is that with the NFL, just like with anything in life, sometimes change is a little bit rough, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it first was live and being used in the season, it seemed to me that a lot of the teams were still trying to figure out what the heck they were trying to do. I mean, it just seemed that the kickoff was almost like a non-existent play. You could have just taken the ball, put it at the 30-yard line, and let the offense get back on the field. Throughout the year, there were a couple different, exciting plays, and people started strategizing a little bit more. I know that the origin of it comes from the XFL, I think. And I know that when they do it, there's a lot of different dynamic things that happen there, at least as far as what I've seen. Again, I haven't seen much other than, highlight reels. So for every highlight, there could be a ton of duds. But I feel that moving it to the 35, I think that could be fine. I don't know. I think that everybody, like, you know, while I am a Denver fan, because I'm born here, raised here, I did spend a stint in Chicago for 8 years. And right in the midst of that 8 years was Devin Hester, right? And let me tell you something. It was the most electric thing watching him take kickoffs back for a touchdown. And so I think that if you ask just the average NFL fan, I think they don't like this kick. I don't think they like the new dynamic kickoff. I think they would probably find it as boring and they'd rather see those electric returns. However, as far as a player safety standpoint, I don't remember anybody getting hurt in a kickoff this year. I don't. So there is something to say about, not having everybody running full speed down the field before you can make a move. I think it is good in theory and in practice. I just think that there needs to be like maybe something to like infuse a little bit of excitement in there. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe if they, instead of saying the touchback is going to the 35, maybe if you did the opposite, maybe if you said, hey, here's the kick. If you want to just keep the touchback, that's fine. It's going to be at the 15-yard line. That would almost incentivize teams to run the ball out, right? That would incentivize teams to actually like do something with it once they catch it. Because then at that point, everybody's still standing still. So the player safety part of it's fixed. It's just at this point, you're incentivized to like almost not move. So it's almost becoming like a non-football play. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting concept I haven't heard of before. I think I think that would incentivize teams to kick the ball with like people could return it. I think the problem last year was kickers were just kicking out of the end zone, not even giving teams the opportunity to return the ball. I'm for. I believe the XFL rule was 35. I'm saying I think their rule was 35. NFL was like, we don't want to go that. We don't want to go that hard. Let's do the 30 and try it out. And this year we'll adjust. Um, I think that 5 yard makes a big difference. You think about an average play, 15 yards. I mean, you're with kickers nowadays. You can make a play. Like it's. I think it makes a big difference. I think it will pass for one, and I think that it'll bring more dynamic to the league. I think forever the kickoff was a I'm going to go to the bathroom, I'm gonna grab a snack. Now it's not that way. I think it's what the league wanted, and they want more of it. So
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what happens, but I think it will pass for sure. But moving on, I don't know what this rule is called, but I'm gonna call it the tush push outlaw rule. Basically banning the Eagles tush push, basically allowing players to push another player. Basically, it's basically how it's worded is you can't push a player who's directly receiving a snap behind center. Is how it's structured. The tush push has been going on for the last couple years. It's really unstoppable. I think was it Chris Jones, the Chiefs, like, yeah, you can't stop it. Like it's not possible. So what are your thoughts on the tush push? Do you like the play, not like the play? Do you think the league should step in here and ban the play? Kind of talk me through what your thoughts on it are.
So I'm gonna briefly say I understand both sides of the argument. I understand the people that want to ban it. They say kind of like what I was talking about with kickoffs. It's almost becoming a non-football play, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a play that you're just shoving a guy across the line of scrimmage and you're just hoping for the best. And if you're trying to stop it, you're, like the Washington Commanders in the playoff game this last year, you're just basically going to be at risk of jumping off sides 16 times in a row, right? On the flip side, which is the side I'm kind of finding myself on, if it was so easy, 32 teams in the NFL would be doing it. The Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm not a fan of the Eagles. They're fine. Like I don't have any problem with the Eagles. I was very happy to see them beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl this year as a Broncos fan. But as a football fan, I believe that you're either good at something or you should get good at something. And I feel that by banning the tush push, all you're doing is you're helping 31 other teams and you're punishing a 32nd team, the Eagles, for perfecting a craft, right? I feel like instead of these teams, I'm looking at you, the Green Bay Packers, for suggesting this ban. I think that instead of you saying it's unfair, make them stop, you can do two different things. You can play defense and not let them get to 3rd and short or 4th and short, or you can make your offense figure out how to be that good, and then you can use it to your advantage too. It's not that the Eagles went, undefeated this year and won every game 7-0 because all they did was tush push their way across the field and eat up the clock. It was they got to down and distance. It's the same thing about why the NFL's have fullbacks for the longest time. You pass to your fullback because he's close to the line of scrimmage, and quarterback sneaks. You didn't hear anything about quarterback sneaks being a problem when Tom Brady was in the NFL, and he was excellent with the quarterback sneaks. Anytime it was fourth and inches, right, and the Patriots were lining up, it was never to draw anybody off sides. Tom Brady was going to sneak and he was going to pick up the first down. You didn't hear anything about it until he retired, and then suddenly it's the Eagles are, it's an unsafe play, or they're pushing guy, it's unfair. Look, if it was easy, everybody in the NFL would do it. The fact of the matter is they don't, and maybe everybody should, because from what I've seen, I haven't seen a huge injury uptick on that play specifically. I feel like it would be a much different conversation if every defense that the Eagles played all year last year, there was an injury on the opposing team because of the tush push. I haven't seen that. I just see a lot of defensive players upset and frustrated and slamming their helmet on the sideline, but then their offense doesn't do the exact same thing that the Eagles just did to their defense. So I personally think don't ban it, just get good for lack of a better term.
I understand where you're coming from. I have a couple points that I, I'm for banning it, and these are the kind of reasons why. One, it was banned for a long time. Like for a long time, you couldn't just go in a pile and push. You had to be blocking a certain guy. So this has been banned in the past, and they unbanned it to allow this happen. Not for this exactly, but
Right.
they unbanned this for a while. The second thing is you can't do the same thing on defense. I can't be a linebacker, get behind my D tackle and push him. That's against the rules. So I think the offense should follow the same rules the defense has in that aspect. Um, those are my two main thoughts on it. So I'm for those two reasons. If they don't pass it, I don't care. It's not like a big deal to me. But I think for the equity of the offense and defense, I mean, we can admit the rules are made for offense already. Let's
100%.
help the defense out a little bit.
That's fair. That is fair. If you're a defender and you can't do something, but the offense can do something,
Yeah,
absolutely, it's a little frustrating. So I can see your point on that.
yeah. So the next one is this has been talked about for the last couple years is reseeding playoff teams based on record. So division winners will still get in the playoffs, but they won't be guaranteed that home field advantage. They're reseeded based on record. This has been brought up for the last couple years. I mean, when those NFC South teams were below 500 and they were getting home playoff teams, I think was being talked about. It's being brought back again. Um, give me your thoughts. I'll circle back around and give you my thoughts at the end there.
So for me, this is something that I feel like every single season that this has been brought up, it's because there's a division winner that's terrible that
And I
makes the
believe I
playoffs.
believe the Lions are proposed this as well, which is weird because they won the division and got the number one seed, and the
Right.
Vikings were the one that fell to 5 seed. So I think it's interesting that I meant to bring it up at the beginning there, but I think it's interesting. But go ahead.
And I think that could be because they knew what position they were in and almost
Mhm.
in. So maybe they just, decided, hey, we wouldn't have liked it if it happened to us. What gives? But for me, I just think back to the Seattle Seahawks who went 7-9 and played the New Orleans Saints in Seattle, and Beastquake happened, right?
Mhm.
I I feel as if I'd be fine with it as long as one thing happens, which it sounds like they're still doing, but I feel that winning your division should hold some weight.
Mhm.
So if it suddenly becomes a you're no longer the home team, but it is still an automatic playoff bid, I'd be okay with that. I know there have been proposals in the past that they just seed, 1 through 6 or 1 through 7 based off record. I don't like that. Um, Once again, you didn't hear about this. I mean, I know it's been talked about a lot, but how many years did, if you look back, how many years did Tom Brady and the Patriots beat up on a really weak AFC East? How long did Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts bully up the rest of the AFC South teams? Like, I feel like bad divisions in football, or at least top heavy divisions in football, is not uncommon. It's something that
Mhm.
happens all the time. I think that what's weird is when you get into the realm of sub 500 teams making the playoffs, right? And obviously the Vikings having the successful season they did, having to go on the road to, in essence, Arizona, not really LA, but I can understand why that would be frustrating, especially when you are in, we talked in a previous video how, in back to back seasons, there's been a North division, right? The AFC North first and then the NFC North that just almost each team has made the playoffs, right, in the last 2 years. So obviously it is frustrating when you're just like, okay, I'm in a really tough division. As a Broncos fan, we have Patrick Mahomes. He's not slowing down anytime soon. Justin Herbert looks great. Like it seems like we're competing for bronze most of the
Mhm.
time, especially the last like 9 years.
Mhm.
So I can understand how people would want to at least give the good teams, because they had a good season, they want to give them the good advantage of home field. I'd be okay with it as long as the division winners still get the automatic bid. I just think that there needs to be some sort of reward for winning your division, because you can't choose when you suck, but you also can't choose when your division rivals suck. And I feel that if you win your division, it's worth something. So, what are your thoughts, Joel?
Yeah, I'm firmly against it. I'm a Steelers fan. Like AFC North, we beat up on each other. I think it can go good and bad. Like you could, you know, good divisions, you're gonna play a division twice, so it could hurt you and you lose more games. I, I just, I just, you should be lower down. You could be a better team, but your division's tough, so you lost a few more games. I don't. I think, like you said, winning your division, the schedule is built around that. The league's built around like win the beat the people on your schedule, and win your division is number one goal. That's what any head coach will tell you. Win your division first. That's the priority. If you don't win your division, you're putting a gamble on it. You're risking the wildness
Everything.
of it, and
Right.
I'm okay with that. 'Cause I think it's going to make those Week 18 games that we saw of Minnesota and Detroit last year so much more entertaining to watch because so much more is on the stake. If that, I mean, I guess you still the first round bye, but it wouldn't be as interesting without
Right.
that. Like you're either first seed or you're fifth.
Right.
That's super interesting. I think it makes. I think they won't do it because it makes a TV product better to have more stakes on the line and the more games they can. And having first to five is gonna make more entertaining games in late in the season. And when teams are resting their players and not week 18 can be a crapshoot if you're what's on the line or if you're resting the players. But I think if you have one game a week that like, hey, bye week or you're in the wild card, go on the road to play somebody. Not going to change. That's too entertaining. So the other ones, some of these aren't as interesting. Like so we all know that teams allowed to create their own throwing balls. You hear about quarterbacks muddying the balls up or roughing them up before the game starts. They basically want to allow kickers to have designated kicking balls. I don't care. I don't think it's going to change anything.
I don't
Kickers
think
are
so
so
either.
good nowadays that am I going to see a 90, am I 80-yard kick now? Like, I don't really care. I don't think that much of a difference. Do you kind of agree on that?
Yeah, and I honestly think that it's one of those things where I just feel like that opens up a lot of controversy, right? It's like, okay, he had a designated kicking ball. Well, what is he doing with his kicking ball that's making his ball go 10 feet or 10 yards or 10 inches farther than the opponent? I just feel like it opens up so much like speculation. What are they doing? Is it a legal ball? Like, just kick the ball. Like,
Yeah,
these kickers nowadays it's a complete, it's a craft. It's an
yeah.
art, right? I can't imagine kicking a 20-yard field goal, let alone a 60-yard field goal. And in warm-ups when there's no one rushing them, these guys are hitting 70 to 80-yard field goals anyway.
Yeah,
They don't need their own kicking balls. Just make it all regulation and just move on.
yeah. I agree. No reason to pass the rule. Make it you make less conspiracy, less junk going on there. They're already killing the ball anyways. The other one I think is interesting is replay. We saw this a little bit last year, but they're going to expand replay assist into allowing them to overturn flags on plays. So a hand to the face, there was flag was thrown. Replay assist can go, hey, it's on a flag, pick the flag up. The big point of this is they cannot add a flag to a play. They can only take the flag away. We saw a little bit of this last year, and I think it was really smooth, implemented really, really well. It didn't really impact the game time, the length of it. It was very smooth. So I am very much for getting the play right. I understand there needs to be some human error in there, and I'm okay with that. But that's why I don't want them to add flags to the play. That just adds a whole, you know, can of worms there. A play goes by, then all of a sudden, oh, New York called, and this actually is a flag back. I don't want that.
Right.
But they threw a flag. Hey, we play review said, hey, it's not a flag. We're good. I'm for it. Love to hear your thoughts on it though.
So, a lot of what you said, I agree with. I don't think you should take the human error out of the game. I don't think you should be able to add a flag. If you were to do that every replay, because this goes for every sport, when it's live, you don't catch a lot of stuff. I know this is a football podcast, but in March Madness last week, Maryland beat CSU at the
Kevin, you
buzzer.
knew we knew more of football. We're sports fans. We're not
I
just
just,
football. We're sports fans.
I try to keep things on topic, man. And you know me, I'm all over the place. But the game winning shot, Maryland beat CSU at the buzzer when 5 seconds earlier CSU had made what they thought was a game winning shot. When you slowed down the video, that Maryland kid traveled, right? When I watched that shot go off, and I mean, everybody I've talked to about this game feels the same way. The thought wasn't, oh man, he traveled. The refs screwed that up.
Mhm.
No, everything was like, damn, they made one more shot. And the CSU coach said basically the same thing in his post-game interview, was like, hey guys, let's just not take away from the kid who made the incredible shot at a really tough angle as time was expiring. Like, it wasn't an egregious travel. It wasn't something that was caught. Yes, it affected the outcome of a game, but if you were watching a Steelers Ravens game and the final play of the game caused your team to lose, right? But it was something when you looked back at the freaking replay and the other player at the 4.5 yard line, like there was maybe a millisecond of a defensive hold. Do you really want the referee? Like, I'm of the opinion that I want the players to play. My favorite games that I've ever watched, the players are playing. When the flags are being thrown, the whistles are being blown, I feel like that slows down the game and it makes it tedious, makes it monotonous, and it makes it just boring, right? I think the players should be allowed to play. And if the last play of a game is decided because of a ticky-tack call, I understand, like, as a fan whose team loses, I'd like the calls to go my way so my team could win. But
Yeah.
on the flip side, if my team was like the victory was taken away because of a slight call that they say, oh, by the rule book, he technically had 2.5 steps instead of two,
Mhm.
like that would drive me nuts if I was the shoe was on the other foot, right?
Yeah.
So with replay assist, I'm fine if they don't add flags. I also think it should just be for personal fouls, which, like roughing the passer, the stuff which,
Mhm.
the horse collar, the face mask. My only thing I would add to this, I believe that personal foul calls should be challengeable. And I think it should fall under the exact same. If replay assist is doing it, then that should be a challengeable play. And the only reason I feel that way is because you treat it exactly like everything else. You challenge it. If you get it right, you get your challenge back. But if you get it wrong, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it should be under the same set of rules. But there are so many flags where it's like pass interference, right? I mean, roughing the passer is obviously the number one, just like it's the biggest eye roll for me when I'm watching football now because I'm
Mhm.
watching defenders that are running full speed at a quarterback who flicks the ball a second before the defender gets there. You physically cannot abruptly stop, right? These guys are plowing into each other because it's science. They can't slow down in that split second. And you see
Mhm.
these defenders now they're going to tackle these quarterbacks, and it's almost like right before they get there, they hesitate or they pull back because they don't
Mhm.
want the flag, right? And
Yeah.
we just said it earlier in the video. You said it best when you said a lot of the rules are tailored toward the offense. Well, this is one of them where I feel like if you're going to have a personal foul to where replay assist is involved, I think coaches should be allowed to challenge as well.
I think you made a couple great points there. I think the one about if a play ends in spectacular, a game ends in spectacular fashion, you don't want the ref to come back. I think of this last year, the Commanders and Bears game. Like that would ruin the whole thing. It's like, oh, there was some small
Pass
hole in the
interference,
offense.
defensive holding. Yeah.
Yeah, like that would ruin the whole game. I think of back in this is still raw to me is Broncos Steelers playoff games a mile high. Tim Tebow overtime game winning touchdown. Yes, there's legal formation, and it distracted the defense, but it's still a great play. Like don't take that play away. Let the play sit. Um, with the person, I think what we'll see more of, and you see this with touchdowns and stuff. I wonder if we have to call more penalties, knowing that it can be overturned, looked at by the booth. Like you see with like fumbles and stuff, they let the play out, and it can be reviewed. I wonder if the same thing would happen with penalties. They'll call the penalty, and then the booth can overview like, no, it's not a penalty, pick the flag up. I wonder if we'll see that this
Good
year.
point.
Which again, I think if the play's right and not like a crude, like I think end of the game, the whole different set of rules. You see with basketball, the game's called one way for 3 quarters of the game. The last quarter is officiated way differently. I think I think the last 10 minutes of the football game, things will be let go more than they would early on because the refs have to control the game early on. They can't let things get out of control later.
Well,
Um,
and
go ahead.
piggybacking off of that though, I feel like another thing that the NFL needs to do is they need to find a way to make the referees more of a full-time employee instead of a part-time employee.
You've been
And
on
I
this for a while.
I,
You've been on
I
this hard.
we have, but I have one reason for that, and it's the dollar sign. Last I checked, the amount of gambling, especially now that gambling's legal in a lot of different places, and now it's being promoted constantly throughout the NFL season, I feel like that dollar sign is reason enough that you need to have these referees be full time because the amount of wagers that are being made on the outcomes of games or on player prop bets throughout the season, it's really at an all time high. And you cannot have a part time employee who hasn't done their due diligence to know what is and is not a penalty. You cannot let them affect the outcome of a game or the outcome of a bet like that. And I feel like that alone, especially with how technologically you look at how like the game has evolved in the last 5 years, 10 years, I feel like you could come up with a way to where, yes, there's an NFL offseason, there's a lot of time where you don't need referees. You could maybe cut that in a third of, maybe say, like, hey, instead of you guys coming back at month A, we're going to have you guys come back a month earlier. Here are all the rule changes. Oh, here's some virtual reality. Here's AI. Here's Joel. You and I have had countless Madden bets. I'm sure that there's something that can be given to the referees to where they can start the process of getting that kind of training in and locked in to where by the time the preseason rolls around, it's not them starting the process, it's fine tuning the process. And again, I'm not a referee. They could already do stuff like that. But last I'd say heard, last I checked, they're part time employees. And I feel like it's too much of a moneymaker. And I just feel like I think that's the bigger problem. Replay
Yeah.
assist helps, but the fact that replay assist happens is because you have part-time employees calling flags, and now they're having to review in New York to see if it's legit. You could just have the guys come back a month earlier and start training, just have these refs study up a little bit further before they're throwing the flags on the field, especially with what you said. If we talk about, like flags disrupting sports, if these guys start throwing more flags just because they know the booth can overturn it, even Al Michaels on some broadcast this season was saying, like, oh, and here's another flag, here's another flag, here's another. It's
Mm-hmm.
already to the point where even like the people like, telling the story of the game are rolling their eyes and having to tell the audience, like, hey, look, yellow's on the field again. Hold on, everybody. I feel like more flags would hurt the game more than it already has.
Yeah, I agree. I just wonder if it's going to be, a side effect of it. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you could
I,
be
I,
right.
I'm a big fan of. I think the refs do a fantastic job. I think they're right 99% of the time, and for them to do it live, like at full speed, is incredible to me.
I couldn't do it.
Um, like
I
I
couldn't
couldn't
do
either.
it.
So like I'm not going to criticize something that I can't do myself. So like I give them kudos all the way. They're great at their job. Unfortunately, they missed one call out of 200 calls in a game. It's less than that even. I mean, I know the league does track them. They miss calls. They get ranked and they get playoff games and conference games. If they do better, they do. Let's run through these one more time. Just give me your quick yes, they should pass, no, they shouldn't pass on these calls. The dynamic kickoff moving to 35. Are you end of the day for or against it?
For it.
I am too. It yeah, make it a little more dynamic. Banning the tush push.
No,
No,
absolutely not.
against it. I'm for the reasons I said. I think you
Yeah.
got to make the offense defense play on the same field. Um, allowing teams designate kicking balls.
No.
I agree.
Ridiculous.
Keep it uniform. They're already booing these balls 70 yards anyways. Replay assists can overturn flags.
Yes, and let coaches challenge personal fouls.
With that caveat. And then reseed playoff teams based on records.
If I have to say yes or no, I would say no. Because I
I
think
agree.
winning your division matters.
I agree. So that's what's coming up this week in the NFL owners meetings. We'll see what comes out of it. Anytime 31 billionaires get together who own sports teams, something they get talking, things will happen. It we'll see what else comes out. What trades come out of it? What else comes out of the owners meetings
Maybe the
this week?
Steelers will get a quarterback. Maybe.
So what I've heard is the Steelers gave Aaron Rodgers a soft deadline. So what that means, I'm not sure, but a soft deadline of Sunday, tomorrow. Let them know. I think realistically, you can go up until about a week before the draft, because they need to alter your draft plans. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. Any last comments about the owners meeting? The Steelers quarterback situation. What do you got?
I don't know,
Yeah,
man. I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know.
Well, all right, guys. Well, appreciate you stopping by. Thanks again. Drop a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. Helps out a lot. And until next time, you guys take it easy, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. See ya.